Looking for your end game integrated amplifier that can control everything in a 21st century way? Stay tuned. We're going to talk about one. Hi everybody, Mark from Audio Pursuit. And today I want to talk to you about the HiFi Rose RS520 integrated amplifier, a unit designed for the 21st century. As you can see, this is a beautiful piece of kit. It is encased in aluminum, and interestingly enough, it only measures 13.5 inches across. The sides, you can see, have some louvers on it. The top has 2 sets of 3 vents that run from front to back. On top, you have 4 simple buttons: mute, volume down, volume up, and power. The screen is 12.6 inches across, and it is a beautiful screen. Very bright, color saturation is excellent, and it really does pretty well with the glare. Now I have a window that streams in with the late afternoon sun or the lighting, and yet you can easily see, because the brightness level and that color, all the information you want to look at, and it's sharp. The touch panel on it, the icons are big enough so that you don't have to be absolutely precise, which is a good thing. So you aren't hitting that spot and then thinking, oh, you move it too much one way or another. That's good. Around back, you have a plethora of inputs: USB, Ethernet, coaxial, optical. You also have an eARC as well as HDMI, plus traditional analog RCAs. This unit can act as a preamplifier, and we'll get into that more a little bit later. The 5-way binding posts have enough separation so it's easy to find and insert. Now you may have noticed down in the bottom corner here, we have this little item. What is it? Well, believe it or not, it is a wired infrared sensor. For whatever reason, the HiFi Rose engineers weren't able to fit a sensor in the corner. And so they have this inelegant version where you plug in a wire in the back, and as you can see, I put the sensor down on the bottom here. The remote, although small and the buttons are pretty much the same, you can memorize them pretty quickly, and they're far enough apart that it's easy to work without looking. And it has a decent weight to it, which is nice versus so many of them having that super lightweight plastic. So how's all this 21st century streaming capability work? Well, you have 5 streaming choices on there, as you can see, and they all work really well. Didn't have any dropouts, anything like that. If you go hardwired, no problem, once again, because you've got Ethernet if you so wish. Now, under the hood, this unit is powered by GaNFET technology, which is the latest in Class D, which gives it a more solid state-like sound. And HiFi Rose has provided 250 watts per channel into 4 or 8 ohms. In addition, it's got an onboard Sabre ES9038 Pro DAC chip, and this is a very nice chip. Quite smooth, picks up a lot of detail. You won't be disappointed. Setup. Get it plugged in. It'll ask you to log in, give it some credential information, and then it will want to update. The update took, I'm going to say, about 20 minutes or so to the very latest version. In addition, if there's ever another update, you get a little image up in the top here of a little envelope. And then you'll open it up and you'll find out, hey, software update time, and then you run it. Now, one of the interesting features, and a very good feature is on the screen, is you can always look for the HiFiRose emblem. And what this emblem is it's your home button. All else fails, hit that, it'll take you back to the main screen, both on this and on your tablet or phone software. In an area of the settings, they show the back panel, a digital form of it. And you will select whether you're just going output through speakers or whether you're going to use it as a preamp. You also select which input source. I had it set for streaming via Wi-Fi. I also inserted an external hard drive into the system through one of the USB ports, which there are 3 of. And what it will do then is it will ask to read the hard drive. And that takes a while for it to, once again, load up all the different albums and so forth, which I think I installed about 50 of them on that hard drive. The one thing is, it didn't pick up all the artwork. It was a bit disappointing to me. So now it's time to work the system and select your music. As you can see, these are snapshots from my tablet. And what you start off with is you can choose what your streaming service is. Okay, in my case, it's Qobuz, so I selected Qobuz. Now, I also run Roon, but as you know with Roon, if you're going to use this device, you have to deauthorize it from your previous device. So I did that just for a little while and then put it back on to my iMac and left it there. So my time with Roon was short, but I was able to test it and it works great. But I stuck with Qobuz here and the external hard drive. As you can see, you have your selections up at the top. Now, to see more options, you'll swipe across the album's artwork. And you'll see it kind of go across the various titles up at the top of the screen. Now, I'm going to say this. This software is really powerful. But unfortunately, at times, you have to drill down more than you should. It's missing a little something there. The easy use isn't quite there. So hopefully, as HiFiRose continues to update, and they've done a couple of different updates in my time with this, they'll continue to add features and clean up some of the little things and listen to the customers and what they want out of the software. The other cool feature in the software is you can choose between different VU meters. First of all, you get your choice between 5 different colors. My favorite was the golden hue, or they call it green, but I call it the Macintosh blue. Those seem to be the most soothing for my eyes. But you have other choices. You can have a white. You can have magenta. So it's open. And then they have a couple of different styles beyond that, more of the, almost the proton amplifier type needles, if you remember those. So really, a lot of choices there. And finally, you can actually drill in and get to an equalizer. There is on screen with the unit, you'll see some slide lever things. You hit that little icon, and then you can open it up and you get your equalizer. And as you can see from the image here, it has 9 different genres and music choices, or you can have it off, and then 3 custom. So think about shaping it the way you want. I tried them out. I'll be honest with you, I wasn't crazy about it, but I'm kind of a purist in that regard. But I can easily understand those people wanting to have adjustments, depending upon their room and, how they like to listen to their music. The key is it's there for you to try out and enjoy. So how does this piece of gear sound? Well, the HiFi Rose RS520 is a very smooth, almost a prim and proper sounding integrated amplifier. It does all the things well. It's high-end, is nice. It isn't harsh by any means. Listen to Alison Krauss's vocals. Very pleasant. It's not going to have you scratching your ears. The mid-range, once again, very natural. Not warm, not cold. And in essence, this amplifier reminds me so much of the Parasound A23 that I have. Now, granted, the A23 is 100 watts per channel less, actually a little bit more than that, but that same sound characteristic. And let's face it, John Curl designs wonderful amplifiers. And it really is very reminiscent, even though this is a Class D GaNFET and the Parasound is a traditional solid-state AB. One thing I'm going to say, through the wide variety of music, the RS520 is not the most aggressive amplifier out there. It doesn't quite deliver absolute thrust when you need it, especially with dynamic passages and difficult to drive speakers like my Magnapan 0.7s. It's just more polite in that regard. It'll get you there, no question, but the level of impact is somewhat missing. How does the DAC chip do? Well, that ES938 Pro does a very nice job. Is as good as an off-board unit, let's say of the $1,000 range, okay? Although I wish I could have compared it directly with my Denafrips Aries 2, which of course is a ladder DAC, but unfortunately, the limitation is that there is no true tape monitor loop with this integrated amplifier. Even though you have the preamp out, you can't send the signal back in because it's digitally controlled in the settings. I did write to HiFi Rose saying, hey, it would be wonderful if you guys could update the software to allow that to take place so you have that tape monitor feature. Because that way, I would have been able to compare the two DACs, but for those of you who have a really nice standalone DAC, but you really love all the other features of the RS520, you'd be able to enjoy both. But alas, that isn't going to happen. So here's what I'm going to say. The 9038 Pro DAC is a nice DAC. It pulls out a good level of detail. But without it being in a separate unit, it still doesn't have the ability to match up with the Aries 2. So you are going to step back a bit. Can you get used to it? Oh, very easily. There's no question. Occasionally, when you miss something, yeah, you will. Alan Parsons, there was a couple of tracks in there where you could hear the difference, where it just didn't quite have that advantage and that detail. You hear this deep background voice, it's almost a semi-echo. You hear a great deal more of it from the Denafrips than you do the onboard. Several years ago, you would not have heard that at all. So that's how much improvement you're getting with DACs these days. Overall, you're not going to be disappointed with this amplifier at all. It really does a fine job of straddling the capabilities of Class D and that traditional smoothness of solid state. All right, so let's go over the pros on this. What do you get? Beautiful piece of gear that's in a slightly smaller footprint. And don't knock it. That is really important anymore, especially in the lifestyle area that we see so many people looking at with home audio. The screen, top notch. Beautiful screen, great touch controls. Amplifier section is smooth. You won't be disappointed. It may not be the most dynamic, but I think you're going to find for most speakers, it does the job well. And finally, the plethora of choices in the software is exceptional. And the fact that they are constantly updating is a really good sign. As for, I don't want to say disappointments, but maybe a wish list of things to improve upon. Big thing is no tape monitor control, even though it's easily available. 2, I think the software, there's so much of it, it does need a little cleanup. Things like putting in the settings all your ability to go with the display instead just choosing brightness. Being able to choose your VU meters, the equalizer should be in the display section of the settings. So that's something I'd like to see them improve upon. Final score, I'm going to give the HiFi Rose RS520 a B+. There's so much to like in this. I mean, the 21st century, second decade of it, choices as far as streaming and so forth are phenomenal. That is really first rate. And at a price of $3,695, there's a lot there. No question. GaNFET technology, you name it. And the fact that you got the built-in DAC, and really, unless you're into vinyl, this is a one-piece stop. Just get yourself a set of speakers and you're done. Plus you got the room ready capability. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We have some more equipment coming up real soon. Take care.